Good evening, good evening, good evening, and a very warm welcome to the SMRC eSports Racing Spring Championship. It's week number 3, which means it's round 3, which means that it's time for a lovely little sunset drive round Brands Hatch. My name's David Christie. I'll be taking you through all of the action as always. We are live only tonight on YouTube. And I'll be popping into the channel to come and say hello very, very shortly. In fact, I'll come and do that just now. Head over to YouTube and have a look for SMRC, and we will get you on there. So, tonight then is the PS4 Qualifiers. They are out on track at the moment. It's a beautiful sunset night here at Brands Hatch. And the lights on the little Ginetta G55 GT4s just starting to come on. But this is who we can expect to see, or at least this is who is scheduled to be in qualifying heat number 1. We have got 10 out of the 15 drivers made it to round 1 so far. Joe Tanner not with us just now. We'll see if we can try and fit him in later on, but we do have Craig Kerr, Jack Murdoch is in here, we've got Mark Bramwell, Blair Murdoch, Callum Henning, John Bowman is due to be in. He's been invited but he hasn't turned up yet. He could very well do so. Craig Blake is in here, Colin Main, Danny Kerr, Michael Gray, Ryan Smith, and we are missing David Gein and Dean Sargent as well. So, without further ado, tonight is going to be a little bit back to normal, back to our 5-minute qualifying sessions. As we can see here, Craig Blake making his way around the circuit here at Brands Hatch. And let's actually go on board with Craig Blake. You can see here the light just starting to fade here for qualifying heat number 1, and it is all about getting these fast laps in very, very quickly, because 5 minutes goes very, very fast as well. So let's jump on board, as said, with Craig Blake. We'll get rid of the music in just a second once qualifying is done, but also it then comes down to the points that we had. We'll get rid of the music there. Yeah, so the points this weekend have been quite interesting, because we've got Michael Waddell jumping up to the top of the points board with Darryl Adams in second place, and then it is Sam McKenzie from Elliot Lethwaite and Martin Buchan. That is third, fourth and fifth, but Michael Waddell out with 77 points, 27 points of a gap over anyone else, and it's really going to be quite a spectacle to see if anyone is able to bring that into check. We've got, as I say, 2 rounds left to go. We've got this week here at Brands Hatch, and then we have got next week at Spa as well. But some beautiful, beautiful onboard shots there from Craig Blake. As we see, up into the top spot goes Blair Murdoch with a 58.240. I'm really expecting these times to come down, because we're looking high 47s to low 48s. That's going to be the sort of times that we will be seeing from these cars as we watch Blair Murdoch's car making his way around. We've got just 1 minute left to go in qualifying, and when we're done with that, we'll be ready for race number 1. 13 seconds left to go in qualifying for heat number 1, and it is still Blair Murdoch from your not your championship leader. That's Michael Gray that's in second place there, and not Michael Waddell. Let's have a look here. Michael Gray there, 48.916. He's just coming up towards Surtees just now. And then it's round the corner at McLaren. Into Clark. And then it's going to be along the Brabham Straight. So Michael Gray finishes his last lap. What can he do? It's a 48.227. So a fantastic lap there for Michael Gray. Blair Murdoch, I think, is still on a lap here. He's just coming up to Druids just now, round the hill and then down Graham Hill Bend. Is Blair Murdoch going to be able to do anything with this one? I don't think he is. I don't think he's going to be able to set a second lap in there, because look at that, right at the last gasp there, Callum Henning takes pole position. Incredible, incredible stuff there. So we must have seen Blair Murdoch on his cool-down lap. So there you go, Callum Henning from Michael Gray, Blair Murdoch and Craig Blake in 4th place. Let's jump straight into race number 1 then. We have got 9 cars now on the grid, so we've lost a car on the way to the grid, but it is Callum Henning from Michael Gray, Blair Murdoch, and away we go. And it's a poor start for Callum Henning. He's caught sleeping there as we see Michael Gray challenging him, going down in towards Paddock Hill for the first time of asking. The cars making their way round, and it is very tentative stuff. The cars are struggling to try and get any grip. We've got a car off there. That is going to be, let's have a look there at the back of the grid there. That was at Paddock Hill Bend, and that is Colin Main that has come a cropper on that one. Oh, and we've got another 2 cars off there as well. That again is Kerr MTB. That is Craig Kerr and Mark Bramwell that have really struggled. This is what I'm saying, these colder conditions later on in the day at 7 o'clock at night, the track a little bit slippier. It's all very well being fast over repeated laps, but you have to be able to do that in pack racing as well. We've got a brilliant race going on for the lead, and what has happened to Blair Murdoch? He's all the way down in 6th place. So Craig Blake up into the lead then from Michael Gray, and then Callum Henning. They're round Paddock Hill Bend for lap number 2, and it is a 3-car battle we've got going on for the lead right now. Beautiful scenes here as we see Michael Gray weaving to one side, then the other, as they come round the corner at Surtees, and then it's into McLaren. We've lost another car there. That is Callum Henning, who's come a cropper at Surtees there. He's dropped off the back of this tail as well. And now we have only 2 cars battling for the lead. The other cars are 2.5 seconds at least behind. So incredible scenes here. And this is where we've seen the difficulty being ratcheted up here, and a bit of contact there as Craig Blake and Michael Gray fighting out here. Oh, and there's contact as well at Druids. Well, I think that was a little bit of a check up there, and Craig Blake is not happy about that one, because Michael Gray sneaks up on the inside and just couldn't get the car braked in time, couldn't get the car stopped and slowed down, and that means that Michael Gray off into the lead with a second of a lead on lap 3 out of 12 here at Brands Hatch, the Indy layout. And it is currently Michael Gray from Craig Blake, then Callum Henning in 3rd. We have got Danny Kerr in 4th place as well. We've got Zazu in 4th place. That is, sorry, 5th place. That's Jack Murdoch that is down there, 10 seconds behind your race leader. And I'm a little bit distracted here, because have a look at this, Callum Henning now under intense pressure from Danny Kerr. And Danny Kerr has a much better exit out of Druids. Callum Henning is going to have to desperately fight off on that one. And we've got a retirement then. That was in 9th place. I think that was that might have been Craig Kerr that's just disconnected there. He's decided enough is enough, and he's not going to be making any roads in. And this is the final battle we've got going on for the final podium spot, the final qualification spot. That's Callum Henning and Danny Kerr. Very difficult setup, very difficult conditions, and the car as well is it's not the most difficult in this game by a long shot. It's quite a comfortable car, but the bumps, the routine you've got to be able to get yourself into, so easy to get a foot wrong just by pushing these cars a little bit too hard. Lap number 5 out of 12, and Michael Gray now into the 47s. He has got the pace to absolutely stretch his legs right now. And this is looking very, very comfortable for Michael right now, as he makes his way to start lap number 6, and we are already halfway through the first qualifying heat of this week for round number 3 of the SMRC eSports Racing Spring Championship. It's still Michael Gray from in second place. That's Craig Blake's. Third place is Callum Henning, having a big moment coming down the corner there at Paddock Hill Brent, and that puts him back into the clutches of Danny Kerr. And this battle is not over by any stretch of the imagination. And don't look past Jack Murdoch in 5th place, because if these two decide to get in a little battle with each other, things could happen and bring him into play as well. But the field very much spread out, and this is the difference that practice will afford to you during the week, is that when we do things like announce that the race is going to be at 7 o'clock at night and the grip levels are changed slightly, you know the track, you know the car, but it changes that little dynamic just ever so slightly, and has to keep you on your toes as a driver. So lap number 7, and we've got a spin at the back there. That was Craig Blake having a big moment, I think. I'm telling a lie there. That was actually Mark Bramwell, wasn't it? Yeah, we'll just skip by that one like it never actually happened. He was around about the time where Craig Blake should have been, but Craig Blake's time didn't actually go down there. So Mark Bramwell having a big moment as we see Colin Main. Oh my goodness me, contact there! And that is Craig Blake in contact there, and there's more drama. That is some very poor driving there.
Are you joking?
Mark Bramwell there is going to have some very big answers to answer to, as we see Colin Main as well. Well, this is yeah, that is not the best, as we see who's that still in the kitty litter over there. I think that is Craig Blake. Was that Blair Murdoch? It is. The two of them take each other out, and yeah, this is
what an asshole.
I somehow get the impression we're not going to see these guys in next week. We'll be having stern words with them, but Danny Kerr now moves up into 3rd place then, because Callum Henning is back into 2nd place, Danny Kerr in 3rd, and this leaves Jack Murdoch with one heck of a chance to get a little bit further up the leaderboard there. And Craig Blake retires himself from the race. You kind of saw that one coming a mile off as well. Mark Bramwell still going. We'll have to save the replay and pick the bones out of what actually happened through that race, because that was not the best. And it seems to be the PS4 that this sort of thing happens with. Meanwhile though, back to your race leader. We've been distracted for about 2 laps here. We've already got onto lap number 10, and it's still Michael Gray, making it look very simple and straightforward right now from Callum Henning in 2nd place. Gap is now 8.1 seconds, and the gap to Danny Kerr just behind him is just over 0.8 of a second, but that is stretching now to about 1.5 seconds, so it's looking fairly comfortable right now. Just having a little bit of a check on YouTube there, as we see Danny Kerr coming a cropper at the entrance, or exit rather, of Surtees. And I do apologise if you're hearing some unsavoury language on chat. You would have thought sim racers would have learned their lesson after Kyle Larson this week, but apparently not. So obviously some choice words being had between Blair Murdoch and one or two of the other drivers, but Michael Gray is making his way around on lap 11 out of 12 here. He's going to come across the line to start lap number 12. And a very good evening to everyone that's in YouTube chat. Chris McCarthy, David Taylor, Stuart Anderson, Edward Porter. Hope you guys are enjoying the festivities, I think is the only way that we can use to describe it. Your race leader on the final lap of the race. This is how it should look like, though, to be fair. Michael Gray making it look very, very easy indeed. And he is now 7 seconds ahead of Callum Henning on his final lap. He's only got another 3 corners left to go. He's going to come into Surtees for the final time and then in towards Clark as well. But it's been a fantastic, fantastic race there for Michael Gray. Bit of a battle early on. And a very good evening to Ross Cuthbert and to Glenn Alcott. Glenn we'll see out on force later on tonight. But there we go, race win then for Michael Gray. Second place is going to go to Callum Henning, and then Danny Kerr looks like a final podium spot and a final qualification spot on that one. And there we go, we're finished, done and dusted for 20 past 6. Well, yeah, not much to say that one. We will pop in the results from that, and a great win there for Michael Gray. And just popping in the results on my magical little my little board here. But Callum Henning getting second place, and then in third place Danny Kerr. There we are. So let's save that replay, because I've got a funny feeling we're going to be needing to come back to that later on tonight. 7 cars finishing, and we will have to unfortunately review that one and find out exactly what on earth happens in that race. So we'll take a very short break, guys and girls. When we come back, we'll have some more action from qualifying heat number 2.
get back to the start. I don't know if I'm broken or if I am just not trying. But we're feeling alive even when we are slowly dying. Shine a mirror on me. See my reflection, who am I really supposed to see? Who am I really supposed to see? Maybe this ain't for me. Thought that each time I wanna leave, closing the door again.
Let's have a look then at your runners and riders for qualifying heat number 2. I think we've got around about 12 of the 15 that we had for this one. We've got Jake Triggs, we've got Matthew Collings, we've got Stuart Robertson, Andy Sedgley, Oliver Stewart, we've got Marcin Kopacz, Matt Bradley, Rory Skinner makes his debut tonight. The same Rory Skinner that we see usually at Knockhill, usually on two wheels, and usually kicking the behind of everyone else on the track. So great to see him with us tonight, having a bit of fun. Chris Reed is out there along with Elliot Lethwaite. Joe Murray is not with us tonight. George McDonald is with Neil Broom and Alan Gordon. So there we go. That's who we've got, and the cars are already heading out onto track. 12 out of the 15 joining us this evening. So without further ado, let's have a look at the action on track. As I said, 5 minutes of qualifying is what we can expect to see out there just now. As we see Matthew Collings going around and around and around the corner. Yeah, not the best, not the best. Right, I'm going to get the audio working for the stream, so I will be just a second for that.
I don't know if I'm broken or if I am just not trying. But we're feeling alive even when we are slowly dying. Shine a mirror
So we've got less than a minute to go. Apologies for the lack of any in-game audio at the moment. I'll try and get that fixed in the next session. But Matthew Collings is currently in the lead with a 48.149. In second place, that is going to be Stuart Robertson with a 48.153. Third place is going to be Jake Triggs. But fourth place, hang on a minute, it's none other than Rory Skinner, Mr. Kebab Knight himself. By the way, that is the most awesome game name that I have ever heard in my life. So Kebab Knight, Rory Skinner in fourth place, bumped out to fifth place because Oliver Stewart moves up into fourth place instead. So there we go then, qualifying is done and dusted, and it is Stuart Robertson that jumps up to the top of the times end, 47.763, and the times really came down very, very quickly. Matthew Collings in second place with a 47.806, Elliot Lethwaite 47.886, and then Rory Skinner coming across the line for the final time now. What can he do? Rory Skinner, my goodness me, on his debut to the SMRC eSports Racing Spring Championship, just fires it up to the top there. Wow, that is incredible stuff there. So Rory Skinner, 47.539 from Stuart Robertson, and then it is Matthew Collings in third with, who was that in fourth place? That was Elliot Lethwaite. Well, there we go. 12 cars we've got taking part in this sunset race number 2. Let's get going. This is going to be an amazing race. On this content, there's a non-starter on the grids, and they have just been absolutely RIP'd. Well, that is not what we wanted to see at all, is it? Goodness gracious me. Let's go and do a welfare check there, because I think that was Matthew Collings. Matthew Collings has been left there upside down. Is there 2 cars involved there? I think that was Matthew Collings, or at least that's a bit of his car that has been left there. So I've got no idea what has happened there. Meanwhile, your race leader Stuart Robertson has spun it on the exit of the corner then. Oh my goodness me, a totally unsafe rejoin there, and I think the stewards are going to be very, very disappointed with that one. That is terrible to see that. I know you're keen to get back on the track, but that is not what you want to see at all. Goodness gracious me. So Elliot Lethwaite then into the leads, and these cars very, very tricky under these conditions. The track very, very greasy. So Elliot Lethwaite and Rory Skinner from SCK Motorsport. That is, of course, Chris Reed now up into third place as well. And we have now only 11 cars into this race, and I've got a feeling that there's going to be some penalties handed out after this one as well. You can't just throw your car onto the track, guys. Cannot do that at all. Right, Elliot Lethwaite then being hunted down by Rory Skinner. The difference was a second and a half of lap time, as Rory Skinner takes a very, very wide line down the hill at turn 1 then into Druids, and Rory Skinner still going very, very wide there. As I say, I do apologise for the lack of engine noise and environmental noise. It is something we'll try and get fixed for race number 3. But we're already 3 laps into heat number 2. And Elliot Lethwaite just making his way round for the 3rd time to start lap number 4. Look at the pace being shown by Rory Skinner. What a turn up for the books. I've never seen him or heard of him taking part in any sim racing before, but my goodness me, that boy has some talent. Chris Reed down in 3rd place then is 2.5 seconds behind your race leader, and then all the way up into 4th place is Alan Gordon, another newcomer to the series this week here for the PlayStation 4. As we look further back down the field, that is Haggis 117, that's Oliver Stewart and Matt Bradley, along with Andy Sedgley at the tail end of the field. But have a look at this, the gap now coming down 0.6 of a second between your race leader and 2nd place of Rory Skinner, who gets a stunning drive out of Clark there, and they go over the line to start lap 5 out of 12 here at Brands Hatch. We'll jump on board then with Rory Skinner just now, and you can see just how much he's pushing that car. Too far as Rory Skinner loses it on the exit of Druids. He spins back on to the track, manages to avoid all of the cars, and tries to get himself going again, but that is big drama there for Rory Skinner. He was looking so comfortable with that car. No such luck. And there is your 2nd place man, Stuart Robb, now all the way down into 5th place, was involved in that huge start line shunt there, and I do think that there was very little of it that he could have actually changed on that. Meanwhile, lap 6 out of 12, and we come up to the halfway point here, and it is Stuart Robertson from, let's see who's in 2nd place. That is, of course, Chris Reed, and then it is Alan Gordon. So it is all changed really at the top. Great point there from Stuart Anderson, saying that Rory only got his wheel last week when they had a few practices together. If that is the case, that is absolutely incredible to see the pace that he's already got. Savoury Sim Racing, a very good evening to you. We usually try and announce the track and circuit weather combinations about a week in advance, so you'll find out tonight what we're doing next week for Spa, for example. We've got a very nice little finale lined up for you, but we'll tell you more about that throughout the course of the week. But lap 7 out of 12, and it is still Elliot Lethwaite from Chris Reed, and that gap now 4.0 seconds, and Chris Reed is actually going to have to watch himself because he's now falling into the clutches of your 3rd place man, and that is, of course, Alan Gordon. So the group was spaced out quite a lot, but it's now coming back to itself quite quickly, because this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th could go either way. You've got Chris Reed in 2nd place, you've got Alan Gordon in 3rd place, and then you've got Stuart Robertson in 5th, which also brings in Marcin Kopacz into that battle as well. So very interesting stuff. And Rory Skinner still down in 6th place, but he is on the tail end of that group as well. So lap 8 out of 12, we've got 4 laps left to go, and Elliot Lethwaite has had a very fortunate race so far. He was looking under immense pressure from Rory Skinner, but I think Rory just pushing that car a little bit too much, but he might be able to make another place up here. Remember, it is your top 3 that go through to the final on Sunday, and at the moment that is Elliot Lethwaite, Chris Reed and Alan Gordon, but that might change in the next couple of laps. Stuart Robertson is certainly going to try and have his say on that matter as well, and the gap coming down between your top 6 drivers. Oh, and there we go. There's a change then. Stuart Robertson. And I think the word of the day today is robust. That was a robust move on the exit of Druids. I think there was a lot of lead up to that one because I'm pretty sure he had 2 headlights at the start of that corner and now he only has 1. So Stuart Robertson, with what is left of that mangled G55 Ginetta GT4, is going to come across the line to start lap number 10, and that demotes Alan Gordon down into 4th place, and it is now going to be a straight out fight for this 2nd place here, because I think Chris Reed is slightly slower than Stuart Robertson. So we'll have a look here as the cars make their way around for the final 2 laps of the race. And it's been a fantastic drive for your race leader, Elliot Lethway, away out in front. He's now coming up to a back marker. That is Super Grover 2.0. That is Andy Sedgley, who is going to be getting some blue flags right now and is going to have to let your race leader through. Let's hope that happens in a nice, clean manner. However, this is PS4, and yeah, I don't really know. Look at this though. Chris Reed under intense pressure onto turn 1 up from Stuart Robertson. And we knew this was going to happen. And I'm keeping my eyes on Rory Skinner in 5th place there, because if something happens to these 2 cars here, then he could be brought back into play as well. And there's contact. I knew that was going to happen. He drives back onto the track and Stuart Robertson takes out Alan Gordon. It's all come together. Oh my dearie me. Well, I think there's definitely going to be a stewards meeting after that one. Unsafe rejoin at the 2nd part there. I don't think there was anything he could do on that because the brakes just wouldn't work on the grass. The car diving back onto the track there. And that means with just 1 more lap to go, the most unlikeliest of situations has happened. The man who only got his wheel last week is into the podium position and into the qualifying for next week. And we've got a spinner there. Who was that? Let's have a look. That may have been... I'm trying to figure out for the life of me. Somebody went spinning off there at... it was Nefarious. That is Neil Broom. On the exit of turn 1 there. Having a dismal time. But look at this. Final corner for Elliot Lethway. He's now 0.5 of a second. That gap has come down 3 seconds to 2nd place there. And it's going to be Chris Reed in 2nd place. There we go. Race win for Elliot Lethway. Chris Reed in 2nd. But here he comes. The man of the moment. Rory Skinner across the line to take what I thought was going to be 3rd place. Oh, that is absolutely heartbreaking. Rory Skinner has some sort of a penalty, and he's dropped down to 4th place, which means that Jake Triggs actually takes that 3rd place from Rory Skinner. Let's have a look at the final results here, because I've got no idea what has happened to Rory Skinner on that last lap. He slowed down. And he's just finished just 1/10 of a second. So we'll have to have a little look at that. That is so strange. But there you go. That's your results from race number 2 then. It's going to be Chris Reed with the win from Elliot Lethway. And then Jake Triggs. None of that makes sense to me. None of that makes sense to me at all. I'm going to go and have a little lie down in the dark room. I'm going to save the replay and try and figure out what has happened with those very strange results on race number 2. In the meantime, guys, we'll take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll be back with heat number 3. Session number 3 is about to get underway then. Stephen Davison, we've got Chris McCarthy in there, we've got Michael Waddell, your championship leader. We've also got Craig McAllister, Robert Percival, Kieran Preedy, Michael McPherson, Mark Gibson, Stuart Anderson, Chris Drummond, Jamie Nicholson, James McCracken, Dan Allen and Dave Noonan are there as well. Let's head over to the track. We still don't have in-game audio, I'm afraid. Let's say we will have to desperately try and fix that one. We'll cut back just now. And when we do, we will join them for qualifying.
Right.
Baby, I'm calling out, save me, I'm going down, take me to another town where I can rest my bones, I can rest my bones safely. Even when I'm together, I'm miles apart. Feel I'm running forever, get back to the start. I don't know if I'm broken or if I am just not trying. But we're feeling alive even when we are slowly dying. Shine a mirror on me. See my reflection, who am I really supposed to see? door again, but I keep coming back. I keep coming back to pretend. Even when I'm together, I'm miles apart. Feel I'm running forever, get back to the start. I don't know if I'm broken or if I am just not trying. But we're feeling
Qualifying is done and dusted for heat number 4, and it is a fantastic little effort going in there, and it looks like it's at the top of the tables there, Wee Daz, which is Daryl Adams from Michael Weddle, and then it is Jamie Nicholson in 3rd place. And in 4th place is, let's see, that is Michael McPherson, who's down there as well. Corrupted Tree is Stuart Anderson, and Dan Allen in 6th place as well. So we've got 14 cars taking place in this one. We were due to have Craig McAllister in here. Apologies, Craig. Don't know why we're not able to get you in, but we will get you in one of the future heats tonight. Away we go then, and it is a cracking start from 5th and 6th in the grid as well, and there's contact already. 3 cars trying to squeeze down, and that is never going to work. That is Michael McPherson, I think, that has been taken out. Let's have a look further down the field. Trying to figure out, that was James McCracken that ended up getting taken out there on the entry to the first corner, but it's still Daryl Adams from Michael Weddle, but Michael Weddle makes the move stick, and Michael Weddle moves up into the lead. It's a 3-car train we've got going on for first place. Daryl Adams down into 2nd, and then Darren Allen in 3rd place. Oh, and there's contact, and that's Michael Weddle sent into the barriers, and I think that may have been Daryl Adams that was responsible for that at the exit of Clark's there. So some very, very questionable driving standards going on. We've got cars going off into the pit lane as well. It is only visual damage that's on these cars, I should explain. So lap 2, a very dramatic lap 2, and your championship leader is in absolute tatters, down in 6th place, and may not qualify as it stands for the finals on Sunday. But Michael Weddle is going to try and make his way back up through the order. He's only 2.5 seconds wide, as we can see. I think that was let's have a look there. That's Robert Percival who goes just wide, and allows Michael Weddle to take 2 places in 2 separate corners, because Cobra has gone off as well, and that is a car stopped on the grid there. What on earth is going on? Well, this is very, very unfortunate. We don't see these sorts of driving standards on the PC or the Xbox races, and it's a shame, because you get some fantastic racing up the front, and you get some very, very not great racing towards the back of the grid there. Right, back up with your race leaders, and that means Michael Weddle now is all the way back up into 4th place. So awesome recovery drive for him, and he's just behind Chris Drummond, and he could be on position for getting that final qualifying spot. So amazing stuff there. And there's bits of Ginetta lying all over the track here at Brands Hatch, and again I can see there have been some quite porous deliberations over the replays here. Meanwhile, have a look at Michael Weddle. He does it. He's got it done by lap 4. Michael Weddle is back in qualification for Sunday's final, and he's not done yet, because he's only half a second behind. 2 seconds behind. 2nd place there, and I was a little bit distracted there as we see Chris Drummond getting very, very frustrated there and making some very questionable moves there on the exit of Druids. Mark Gibson then around the outside of, who was that? That was Kieran Preedy. And I've got to be honest, this has been a mess. This has been an absolute mess from start to finish. You've got some drivers taking it seriously, and some drivers getting caught out by the handling of the Ginetta in these cooler conditions. And now things starting to settle down, but that puts paid to the race for a lot of these drivers. This is what happens when you get 14 drivers of mixed skill levels coming together. And I tell you what, we were looking to get something fun, and this is most definitely a little bit fun. Michael Weddle up into second place. Would you believe it? As Michael McPherson now falling back into the clutches of Chris Drummond on lap 5 out of 12 here. It's going to be lap 6 out of 12 as your leader Darrell Adams comes across. And I think we're going to have a little bit of a relighting of a grudge match here, because it was that contact with Darrell Adams that caused Michael Weddle to go off into the barriers and drop down into 6th place. And the times are tumbling. This is setting itself up to be a very, very interesting final couple of laps here. Looking further down the order then, in 5th place you have got Stephen Davidson. In 6th place you have got Chris McCarthy. 7th place is Mark Gibson. 8th place is James McCracken. 9th place is Darren Allen fighting it out with Cobra 2012. That is, of course, Kieran Preedy. And then it is Jamie Nicholson. You have got Robert Percival falling all the way back to the end of the grid there. Stuart Anderson in 13th place as well. And that is Dave Noonan currently having to watch himself as he goes across the line, getting taken by some back marker by the leaders as well. Have a look at that though, the gap now just 1.8 seconds between your race leader and Michael Weddle. I would not put it past him in these final 5 laps to get a victory out of this race. Another man under pressure is Michael McPherson from Chris Drummond for that final podium spot as well. So yeah, it's all kicking off here, and we've got a car facing the wrong way there. That is Raptor 59, Chris McCarthy, and I personally warned the drivers before I got on about unsafe rejoins, and that is the definition of an unsafe rejoin, and there's afters between Corrupted Tree, and that is not good at all. Not good at all. And in fact, I apologise, that is not Corrupted Tree, that was Swimfins 1, so that is Dave Noonan who was having a little go there with Chris McCarthy. Well, they'll be getting a slap on the wrist once this is all done and dusted. The gap now just 1.7 seconds between your race leader Darrell Adams and 2nd place of Michael Weddle. I think Michael Weddle having a bit of a slowdown penalty there, because he's now fallen back into the clutches of Michael McPherson. And Chris Drummond fallen even further back as well. And let's say what we'll do is we'll restart the console here and make sure that we can get our audio back on track so that you guys can hear all this awesome action as it happens here. But you're watching lap 9 out of 12 here as Darrell Adams keeps that 1.5 second lead here from Michael Weddle, but Michael is closing all the time. It's a brilliant battle for 6th and 7th place here. Mark Gibson fighting it out with James McCracken, and the two of them coming up into Drummond's. And this is what I want to see. This is good, hard, clean battling going on. Okay, maybe not so clean from James McCracken as he cuts across the grass there, and Mark Gibson has a little bit of a nudge into him. Yeah, okay, we'll cut away from that. That is not what we want to see. You can be side by side, and this is the frustrating thing, is that you can see very different styles of racing. Up near the front, it's very clean, it's very respectful. I say that now as Michael McPherson loses out there. I thought that was Michael McPherson. Never mind, that was actually Swimfins 1, wasn't it? That was Dave Noonan, who was being overtaken by one of the leading cars there. That's Michael McPherson there going through, so nothing to worry about. A little bit of drama there, but Michael McPherson also having a time penalty added on. He is 8 seconds ahead of 4th place, so it should be okay. But we're away to start lap 10 out of 12. We're away to start lap 11 out of 12, excuse me. And Michael Weddle still in the hunt to try and take that lead. But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to push that car any more than he is already doing at the moment. And Michael McPherson 4 seconds behind your race leader. The gap now 1.5 seconds from 2nd place to 1st place. A little flash of lights there to let, I think that is Raptor. That is, let's have a look, that's Chris McCarthy, I think, being caught up by your race leader. But here we go then. It's been a brilliant race so far for Darrell Adams. Coming on to the final lap then, but that gap is now just 1 second. That gap is now under 1 second between him and Michael Waddell. What is going to happen here? This could all go horribly, horribly wrong here. Is Michael Waddell going to let Centreheads prevail and know that he's got that qualification place? Or is he going to try and push things that little bit more? He's certainly got the run. As we see one of the back markers moving back onto track at the worst possible time. Let Michael Waddell though through. And I think the damage is done, because that is going to mean Darrell Adams is going to take the win here as he comes round Clark for the final time. It's going to surely be Michael McPherson in third place in a very, very dramatic and incident-packed heat here for heat number 3. Great win there though for Darrell Adams. Second place is Michael Waddell. Third place comes across line is going to be Michael McPherson. We wait to see Chris Drummond in fourth place. I think Michael McPherson is safe despite having a time penalty. He comes across line now. It is indeed Chris Drummond in fourth. It's going to be James McCracken in fifth place. It's going to be Mark Gibson in sixth. And then it is going to be Stephen Davidson in seventh place. Just from Darren Allen. And then, in fact, Stephen Davidson drops down to 9th place there. So there you go. Wow, 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 wow. That was qualifying heat number 3. And we will save the replay. Again, lots and lots to see and to understand what happened there. It was only a 1 second time penalty for Michael McPherson. We'll save that replay. We'll take a quick break. And when we return, we'll have qualifying heat number 4 for the SMRC eSports Racing Championship.
Right. Right.
Baby, I'm calling out. Save me. I'm going down. Take me to another town where I can rest my bones. I can rest my bones safely. Even when I'm together, I'm miles apart. Feel I'm running forever, get back to the start. I don't know if I'm broken or if I am just not trying. But we're feeling alive even when we are slowly dying. Shine a mirror on me. See my reflection, who am I really supposed to see? Who am I really supposed to see? Maybe this ain't for me. Thought that each time I wanna leave, closing the door again, but I keep coming back. I keep coming back to pretend. Even when I'm together, I'm miles apart. Feel I'm running forever, get back to the start. I don't know if I'm broken or if I am just not trying. But we're feeling alive even when we are slowly dying. Shine a mirror on me. See my reflection, who am I really supposed to see?
Well, the good news is that we have fixed the audio issue, so thank you very much for your patience. The drivers are already in for qualifying heat number 4, and we can head straight over to the virtual recreation of Brands Hatch and join all of the action then. So we can see, in the meantime, we'll turn the in-game audio down a wee bit because I can hear it's a wee bit loud, There we go. So Finlay Brunton is in this race as well. He's a big championship contender. We have got Annie Butterworth in here as well. We'll actually have a little look through the lineup for this race. We've got Mark Geraghty, Aaron Spencer, we've got Finlay Brunton, Chris Leonard, Annie Butterworth, Gavin Lyons, Mark Gray is not actually taking part tonight. We've got Thomas Comber, we've got Jack Liggett, we've got Josh Adams, Daniel Cormack, Barry Holmes, Malcolm McNabb, Martin Buchan, Jason McCleary. We've also got, I think it's Craig MacArthur who is in this race, missed out on the last one and is in this one. So back to qualifying then, and we have got 3 minutes 10 left to go in qualifying heat number 3. Again, the drivers have been warned to be nice, to play fair, and they will suffer the wrath if not. Let's have a look at the times coming in then, because we have currently got our fastest man is Togomoko, that is Thomas Comber with a 48.541. I severely suspect that time will come tumbling down, maybe by a whole entire second. Second place at the moment, Dandy Dons, that is Martin Buchan. We saw Martin Buchan coming in all sorts of grief at Oulton Park for the finals on Sunday past. Thomas Comber already down into third place. We are 541 from Speedy J. That is Jason McCleary that is now at the top of the time screens. And let's have a look there. We have got Thomas Comer in second place, and then moving up to third is who is that now? That is Josh Adams, who moves up into third place there, 48.735, and the times fairly consistent. As we look further down, Finlay Brunton managing to do 50.443, goes across line. What can he do? He doesn't improve. As we see Annie Butterworth coming out of Druids as well, 50.791 for her. We're normally used to seeing her in the BMW Compact Cup. Let's have a look further down the list then. 8th place is I Am Groot, that's Jack Liggett. And then you've got Daniel Cormack as well down into 10th place. But we've got about a minute and a half here, so still technically probably time for 2 more laps to be had here. Possibly even more actually. We'll just have to wait and see, but the time's really starting to come down as Annie Butterworth improves with a 50.045, and then Dandy Dons, that's Martin Buchan, moves up with a 47.759. Now we're starting to see the times dialed in here as we see Jason McCleary up at the top still with a 47.6, and this is fantastic stuff on this very quick lap here at Brands Hatch, the Indy circuit. We were debating whether or not to use the GP circuit for the race, and we decided against it. We wanted it to be a nice, fast and high intensity affair. As we see a little bit of contact there. It's qualifying, gents. You know, social distancing and all that, and oh, there's a little bit of contact there. Well, yeah, let's not have a look at that one. So here we go then with just 40 seconds remaining. The checkered flag has already flown, so it's the final laps for some of these cars. It is still currently Jason McCleary from second place of Martin Buchan. What are they going to do as they come across the line? Jason McCleary comes across now. Can he improve? No, he doesn't, and it's still Martin Buchan in second place. It's going to be Josh Adams who is in third. It's going to be Thomas Comer who is in fourth place. And hold the phones, because Finlay Brunton at the last gasp takes third place on the grid there, 48.235. So yeah, brilliant qualifying session there. Jason McCleary from Dandy Dons, Martin Buchan, and then Finlay Brunton in third place with Josh Adams in fourth. Apologies for any of the in-game chat that you can hear. Unfortunately, that was the only way that we could restore in-game audio, was by disabling the party and getting the engine sounds back. It's a prerequisite to that. That's also why we're only on YouTube for that, and it's all going wrong. That was somebody going very, very badly into the wall there. I think that might have been Annie Butterworth, who had a terrible start, and there's cars everywhere at the back of the grid there. That is Josh Adams, who had a brilliant start, as well as Aaron Spencer into the gravel on turn number 1. That has left Jason McCleary to absolutely rocket away with that lead, because now Martin Buchan has got Finlay Brunton all over the back of him. What a fantastic start this has been to race number 4 of the evening. And that's us already about to get a lap under the books here. Mark Geraghty out of nowhere up into 4th place. That's a fantastic effort for the big bad Mark Geraghty with Savoury 69. That is Chris Leonard just behind him, having a little look on the entrance to turn 1. Not going to make anything of it, and that is going to leave him vulnerable to Annie Butterworth. Annie Butterworth slides it up the inside of Druids, thinks better of it, and fantastic racecraft going on this race. And it kind of makes me happy, because I know the guys and girls on the PlayStation 4 are capable of racing like this, and it doesn't all have to be the bumper stuff. And there we go. We'll turn the in-game volume down a little bit there. Right, so just to explain here, I got a message explaining that my in-game volume was far too loud, so I was like feeling very, very apologetic there, and quickly turning the in-game engine sounds. Turns out it was the person that was watching me had a game on in the background that was too loud, so yeah, thanks for that. Anyway, back to normal service, because we are getting one hell of a race here. Race number 4, and Jason McCleary is under all sorts of pressure from second place of Martin Buchan, half a second behind, and then it's Finlay Brunton in 3rd place as well, half a second behind that as well. This is turning into an awesome race here. Mark Geraghty in 4th place ahead of Annie Butterworth. And anything can really happen. Remember, this is a qualifying race. The top 3 from this race will go through to the finals on Sunday. And it is a wonderful race we've got on the way here, because look at that, Finlay Brunton right onto the back of Martin Buchan. And anything, like I say, could happen with these 3 cars. And it's now going the other way as well, because Jason McCleary now starting to become under massive pressure here at the tail end of the lap from Martin Buchan. 0.3 of a second now the lead. They're going to come up onto lap traffic already, and that is Malcolm McNabb that is going to get put a lap down by your 3 leaders. Not a feeling that Malcolm McNabb is very used to at all, but he is really struggling with this. Little Janetta goes off onto the grass here and decides to pull it off onto the grass there, and that is going to be good night for Malcolm McNabb. Indeed it is. He is off into the pits and decides to call it a night then. So here we go, lap number 5, and back to your race leaders. Jason McCleary from Martin Buchan, and then it's Finlay Brunton in 3rd place. This is an epic battle, and exactly showing you why these guys are consistently in the final. There's a lot of practice going in here, and a lot of preparation as well. And this is boiling up to be a hell of a final half of this race 4 here for qualifying, as Martin Buchan eyeing up Jason McCleary there. Great run out of Paddock Hill Bend. They're coming up towards Druids. Martin Buchan is breathing down the neck of Jason McCleary right now, and there is absolutely nothing that Jason McCleary can do other than just focus on keeping consistent lines and soaking up all that pressure. And I think Finlay Brunton is actually just sitting behind there. Now Finlay Brunton's going to have to watch, because he has got a time penalty, and depending on the amount of time that is, that could be that could be significant come towards the end of the race. But have a look at this. Lap number 7, we start, and it is still Jason McCleary from Martin Buchan, and then Finlay Brunton in 3rd place, just at the back of that group. The gap is now just 0.2 of a second, and Martin Buchan is eyeing up when to make that move. Finlay Brunton starting to get a little bit racy now as they come out of Druids there. I'm really trying to save my breath there as we see Finlay Brunton moving to the inside. I think he's got a slow down penalty there. Indeed he does. That's going to bring him further into the grasp of Mark Geraghty. In fact, no, it's not, because of course, Malcolm McNabb, who quit there. And side by side then, your race leader with Martin Buchan. So it's Jason McCleary and Martin Buchan having a look around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend there. That's never going to work. He's going to have to dip inside. Gets a much better run there. There's a tiny little bit of contact. They're going to be side by side into Druids. And it's the last and late breakers. It's a brilliant move. There's contact. But it's going to be Martin Buchan who takes the lead there from Jason McCleary. And Jason McCleary is not going to have any of that. He's going to try and make his way past at the earliest possible opportunity. Wow, I hope you are enjoying this on YouTube, because I certainly am right now. Get the popcorn out, and oh my goodness me, there's contact again. Jason McCleary has a little nudge on the back of Martin Buchan, and Martin Buchan is absolutely furious. It's not over yet, because there's still 3 laps left to go. And wow, that was a huge moment there for the action, as Martin Buchan now starts to chase down again into your race leader, Jason. Oh my goodness me, contact! And off he goes. Martin Buchan gets it all wrong at the exit of Druids. Well, that is an absolutely disastrous moment. He just has to hold on now. The chance for the lead is gone, well and truly gone now. 2.5 seconds behind the race leader, and it now goes over to Finlay Brunton. Well, I need to take a deep breath after that one, because your race leader was very naughty there, and to be fair, the two of them were given just as good as they got. But it's still going to mean that it's going to be Finlay Brunton. Now, what has happened to Mark Geraghty? He has fallen off the face of a cliff as well. And that leaves Annie Butterworth up to her best ever finish of 4th place right now as it stands. So it is indeed not all over. Right, your race leader, Jason McCleary, from 2nd place of Finlay Brunton. And then in 3rd place, it is Martin Buchan. Well, would you believe it? What is going on with this race? I don't think it's over still, because 1.3 seconds is the gap between 1st and 2nd place. It's coming down all the time. And I wonder if there's a slowdown penalty for your race leader, Jason McCleary. As we see Finlay Brunton trying to catch up to the back of that car. And Martin Buchan quite happy to sit there now in 3rd place. That's all he needs to do, is just to hold on to that 3rd place there. As we see your race leader coming round Clark's for the second to last time. We're on lap 11. We're away to start the final lap here. And it's all looking very comfortable right now for Jason McCleary. Starts lap number 12 of qualifying heat number 4 with Finlay Brunton, who's had a storming drive to get up to 2nd place. I think he's going to lose out that 2nd place to Martin Buchan, as we see a back marker there. I think that was Aaron Spencer being politely told to move out the way. And he does do that. Have a look at Finlay Brunton though, just gets it wrong on the exit of that 4th corner there, and it's going to be a race win then for Jason McCleary. 2nd place potentially is going to go to Martin Buchan, because I think it's going to be a time penalty for Finlay Brunton, but across the line then, and it's a race win for Jason McCleary. It is second place for Martin Buchan. Third place is going to go to Finlay Brunton. And then in fourth place, going to come across the line just now, a fantastic fourth place for Annie Butterworth. Fifth place is going to go to Chris Leonard. Sixth place, is going to go to I Am Groot. That's Jack Liggett. Seventh place is going to go to Josh Adams. And eighth place going to, let's have a look there, Thomas Comber, actually. Drive-through penalty for your eighth place driver there. Mark Geraghty in 10th. Daniel Cormack in 11th place, and then finishing off in 12th is going to be Aaron Spencer. Wow, there you go, guys and girls. So Jason McCleary from Martin Buchan and Finlay Brunton in that fourth heat. We'll pop that into the timing tables here. We'll just do that just now. Jason McCleary, and then it is Dandy Dons, which is of course Martin Buchan. And then it is Finlay Brunton. And there we go. Another 3 qualifiers done and dusted. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we return, we'll be back with your final race of the evening. Qualifying heat number 5 is about to get underway. Before we do, let's give everyone a shout out who is on YouTube tonight. A very good evening to Craig Lax, to Tam Hamill, to David Taylor, to Edward Porter, to Keir Riley, Darryl McDonald, Tamsin Green, and Lewin McKenna. Apologies if I butchered that. Now, talking about butchering names, we had a chat with Chris Bazook from last week. And I did butcher his name. I'm totally sorry, Chris. It's Pisuk, Pisiuk. So it's more like an S rather than a Z. So we'll call him Chris Pisiuk. There we go. That's hopefully that's much better. We'll call him Chris. That'll do. So cars are on track, and we are on the go with our final qualifying of the evening. And this should be a good one. 14 cars out of 15. The only car we're missing is Tristan Scrouvens. He was supposed to be in tonight. We did have a notification that it was a different username, so we tried adding that, and it's not happening. So never mind with that. Right, let's get the in-game audio on go and watch what happens for this final live race of the evening. And of course it is now on to qualifying heat number 5. There we go. Right, so we are going to have a little look. In fact, why don't we go on board with one of the cars? Let's pick somebody to go on board with, and I think we're going to go on board with Human Lie, because if any man knows his way around the circuit, then it's going to be Human Lie. Right, down through turn number 1, that is Paddock Hill Bend. Very, very intimidating corner for these cars because it unsettles the car on that hill. Onto the brakes, turn round into Druids, and then it is into Graham Hill Bend. And it's hard onto the power along Cooper Straight. And then it's going to be in towards Surtees. Just want to throw the car in at McLaren, and then even tighter for Clark, and then it is going to be along the Brabham Straight to start another lap. You can keep it on the track, mate. There we go, buddy. Right, here we go then. We are on the go for qualifying, so it's going to take a couple of laps for the cars to get up to speed here and find any sort of pace whatsoever, because we were seeing times in the 47s. It'll be interesting to see if that's the sort of pace that we're going to be looking for again. Aiden Sloss 49.9, and I think there's a good 2 seconds to come off of that potentially if he's going to be up there with the faster of the contenders, which I've got absolutely no doubt all the time. Yeah, we've got Michael Weddle in chat. Now, is it Weddle or Weddell? Because I've asked you at least 3-4 times here, and you tell me, and then I instantly forget. So, Michael, all I know is that you're bloody fast, my friends. So, a very, very good evening to you, sir. Welcome on board to the chat. Aiden Sloss has been put down into 3rd place. Because have a look at that, there's a blast from the past. Mr. James Stephen, we're normally used to seeing him throwing cars sideways round corners and round courses, but this time he's doing it very, very well. A very fast driver. I'm sure actually, if I'm not mistaken, James Stephen also has done the old Formula Fords in his days. So a latecomer to the championship. This is his maiden race right now, straight in with a 48.989, and Aiden Sloss responds with a 48.258. Let's see as the car's making their way. We've got Ewan McKenna in 3rd place there with a 49.487, and then we have got that is James Watson. Let's see if we look here. Ross Watson, sorry. So Just laughing to myself there as we see Ross Watson getting it all kinds of wrong at Clark there. Obviously I'm in many different group chats with many of these drivers, and one of the group chats that I'm in with is Ross Watson, Fraser McNeil and Human Lie, and they're taking bets on whether or not Ross Watson can send it up the inside and put Human Lie onto his roof. I hope that doesn't happen, guys. I really, really hope that doesn't happen. But look at that, James Stephen back up to the top, 47.820. And yeah, that is a fast time. What can Aidan Sloss do in response? This is going to be his final lap. And it's a cross line, 48.021. And it looks like James Stephen, your newcomer to the PS4 Championship, takes pole position with a 47.820. Chris Paziuk is in third place, 48.918. And then in fourth place is going to be Sean Dobie, Ewan McKenna in fifth, and then Human Lie up into sixth place there. So a fantastic qualification run for Human Lie. But here we go. That is your 1, 2, 3 for our final race of the evening. James Stephen on pole from Aidan Sloss with Chris Paziuk in third place. Without further ado then, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight to the grid. 14 cars. Fraser McNeil at the back of the grid. James Stephen at the front. And we are about to go racing. The lights are on. And we're underway for the final race of the evening. James Stephen bogs down in the Ginetta. And in fact, James Stephen really struggling with some sort of network issue there. He's out in front. James Stephen, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, still on dial-up from the early 90s there as his car makes his way around. We've got mayhem going on at turn number 2 there. Cars going left, right and centre trying to get themselves back on. Human Lie finds himself in all sorts of drama there, and that was Sean Dobie that was involved in there, and I think Human Lie has now yeah, we have got major mayhem going on behind him, and Human Lie I think was hip checked with one of the other cars there. They're getting themselves going, and that is Glenn Alcock involved in that. That's Scott P, that's Scott Patterson. And then Human Lie at the back of the field as well. Thankfully it's only visual damage that is on these cars, so no need to head off and get the cars repaired. But lap number 2 then, and it's James Stephen from Aidan Sloss and Chris Paziuk in third place, with Sean Dobie down in fourth, and then Ross Watson. Ross Watson may very well have just sent Human Lie upside down. And then Ewan McKenna in sixth place, as we see Johnny Tennyson in seventh, Gary Williams in eighth place, Martin McEntee in ninth place, Fraser McNeil up into 10th place with all that drama going on. We've got Stephen Booth up into 11th, and then that is Glenn Alcock there was lost for words. Glenn Alcock in 11th place, 12th place, sorry, and then Scott Patterson in 13th, and Human Lie at the back of the grid in 14th place then. That is your order. Back to your race leader then. James Stephen leading by a second and a half from Aidan Sloss in bringing that gap down now, just 1.2 seconds. But Chris Paziuk is under intense pressure from Sean Dobie there as well, as Human Lie makes up a place over SSE Booth. That's Stephen Booth, who has obviously come a cropper on the entrance to Druids. Well, what a start to a race. Not exactly the start I was looking for, but it's a start nonetheless, because we're already into lap 4. We're already a quarter of the distance through the race, as we see Aidan Sloss trying desperately to catch on to the back of James Stephen there, a second and a half behind your race leader. But that looks like Chris Paziuk is in trouble with Sean Dobie. Sean Dobie's going to be making a look, not just yet, but he's looking very, very menacing right now. So we're just watching how things are unfolding right now. Both top drivers storming pace. 47.6 for Aidan Sloss in second place, 47.9 for James Stephen out in front. The gap still 1.3 to 1.5 seconds, and they are stretching away from the battle. Behind him, Chris Bazook currently fighting off Sean Dobie, and then behind him is Ewan McKenna battling Ross Watson, as Ross Watson looked to have made a mistake. Turns out it was just netcode, and he still lives to tell the tale. Johnny Tennyson is in 7th place, and he's starting to group up to that battle behind him as well. But here we go, this lead battle is starting to hot up very, very nicely indeed. The gap just about 1 second as they come down Paddock Hill Bend. Your race leader is going into Druids, and the difference was 0.3 of a second, 0.3 faster for Aidan Sloss that last lap round. And it really could be anybody's race, because we're coming up to the halfway point here, and remember, it's the top 3 that qualify, so you know, James doesn't have to fight all that hard for that position, but a man that does have to fight is Sean Dobie. He needs to get that 3rd place from Chris Bazook. But we see Aidan Sloss still hunting down your race leader. Let's go on board actually with Aidan Sloss as he comes to do a lap here of the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, and it's down through turn 1 then, and that is down through Paddock Hill up in towards Druids, and that gap is now just half a second. James Stephen now starting to feel the pressure from your man in 2nd place. Aidan Sloss around the corner at Graham Hill Bend there gets a much better exit, and that gap is still coming down right now. We're going to have a back marker. That's going to be Scott Booth. I think they're coming onto the back of just now. Let's hope that he sees the blue flag warnings and moves aside to let the leaders go through. And I think he's going to make James Stephen work for this one, because the chance that he had to move over is gone. They're side by side as they come round, and James Stephen loses control. James Stephen off into the barriers at the exit of Paddock Hill Bend there, and James Stephen rejoins the track from hero to zero in the blink of an eye. Well, James Stephen now into 4th place, and he's got about 3 seconds to catch up to Sean Dobie. It's not all over by any stretch of the imagination, but that puts Aidan Sloss up into the lead there. And then that also means that Chris Bazook is into 2nd place, with Sean Dobie now in 3rd then. What a turn up for the books. With only 3 laps left to go, we're already on to lap 9 out of 12. And Aidan Sloss just making his way down through Druids, and Chris Bazook is still under threat there from Sean Dobie. But look at that man there, James Stephen. He is going to be absolutely furious right now. He's going to be doing his best to catch on to the tail of that group there, if at least onto the back of Sean Dobie. That could be done. That's only 2.3 seconds for James Stephen to do, and on this pace it's very, very doable. I think he's taken roughly 0.8 of a second out of the man in front. So yeah, this could be very, very dramatic, and James Stephen could still find himself qualifying in that final qualifying position here. He comes across the line. The gap is now down to just over 1.5 seconds, so it is very possible indeed. Sean Dobie coming in towards Druids then, with 2 laps left to go, and there's contact! Who was that they hit? I think that was one of the back markers there, and that hands the position to let's have a look there. Sean Dobie just managed to survive that one actually. I thought he would at least have given that position away, and I think that was let's have a look there. I need to find out who that was that he contacted with. That was Stephen Booth. Wow, big contact at Druids there. And this is not over by any stretch of the imagination, because now look at this, we're on to lap 11 and James Stephen all over the back of Sean Dobie for that final qualifying position. He goes in very, very hot into Drew's. Let's ride on board then with your former race leader James Stephen. He's only got 2 laps to make this work. He is the faster car ahead of Sean Dobie in front, but it's whether or not he can actually get past there. Look at the pace that he takes in towards Clark's as your race leader is about to cross lap number 12 and start the final lap of the race. This is where all the attention is though right now. And James Stephen on the back of Sean Dobie. Sean Dobie goes very wide, loses control, and does exactly what James Stephen did. You hate to see it, but Sean Dobie back onto the track and he loses that position, and he's also potentially going to lose the position there to Ewan McKenna as well. So James Stephen does the unthinkable, spins the car at Paddock Hill Bend, recovers from 6th to take that final podium position and that final qualifying position for this weekend, for this Sunday. But your race winner, it's going to be Aidan Sloss who takes the win. Fantastic, fantastic win there for Aidan Sloss. Second place is going to go the way of Chris Paziuk. And then James Stephen potentially comes across the line. He's got a slow down penalty, he's got a time penalty. What does that mean? It's enough. James Stephen takes the 3rd place there. And that is hard luck there for Sean Dobie on that last lap. That was what it all came down to. So your race winner is Aidan Sloss. Second place goes to Chris Paziuk, and then taking 3rd place and the final qualifying place is James Stephen. Wow, what a race, guys. I hope you enjoyed it on chat there. What a fantastic win though. So there you go, confirmation. Aidan Sloss, Chris Paziuk and James Stephen make their way through to the final. It is Sean Dobie in 4th place, Ewan McKenna in 5th, Johnny Tennyson in 6th place, Gary Williams in 7th, Ross Watson in 8th. It's going to be Glenn Alcock recovering to get 9th place there. It's going to be Scott McEntee, I think that is, in Martin McEntee in 10th, Ewan Lai recovering to get 11th place, Scott Patterson in 12th, Fraser McNeil in 13th place, and then it is Stephen Booth in 14th place. Wow, my goodness me, guys. That is us for tonight then. That is your qualifying done and dusted for this evening. That was the PlayStation 4 qualifying heats. We will have to double check and make sure who actually goes through from that, especially in Heat 2. We will announce that on Facebook later tonight. But congratulations to everyone involved, and have a wonderful, wonderful night. We are back tomorrow with more of the same. It's going to be Xbox action, Xbox One competitors taking part. We've got a PC... I think we've got a PC practice session going on there as well. Head over and join them if you want to as well. I've been David Christie on behalf of the SMRC and the eSports Racing Spring Championship. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow night.